second will be the 2025 annual report on the collection and utilization of the African Union Import Levy, in line with Section 7 of the African Union Levy Act 2017, Act 952. Mr. Speaker, in the course of 2026, and pursuant to Article 36(5), I will cause to be laid before Parliament on behalf of the President a coordinated program of economic and social development policies, including agriculture and industrial programs at all levels and in all the regions of Ghana. Right Honorable Speaker, I will also present the following bills, regulations, and memoranda for consideration by this House. Speaker, the bills and regulations will be the following: the Value for Money Bill, the Virtual Asset Service Providers Bill, the Value Added Tax Bill, the COVID-19 Health Recovery Repeal Bill, the Ghana Education Trust Fund Amendment Bill, the National Insurance Amendment Bill, the Public Procurement Regulation, request for approval for a revised investment policy of the Ghana Petroleum Funds in line with Section 31A of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, Act 2011, Act 815. And finally, a request for approval to implement an AI-powered trade data analytics system to support customs revenue mobilization and enhance trade facilitation. Mr. Speaker, I stand before this House humbled by the confidence reposed in me by His Excellency the President to deliver his second budget under his reset agenda. Mr. Speaker, when this administration took office, we met an economy in distress, weighed down by debt, weakened by mismanagement, and stripped of confidence. Mr. Speaker, in the 2025 budget, the 2025 budget was our first act of courage, a declaration that Ghana would rise again through reforms, discipline, and visionary leadership. Right Honorable Speaker, the theme for this year's budget draws from the President's profound words in his 2025 State of the Nation address, when he declared that, Mr. Speaker, quote, "Today, inspired by Almighty God and propelled by the massive mandate given to me by the people of Ghana, I am moved to make a purposeful and bold declaration that I, John Dramani Mahama, will fix the economic crisis confronting our country and reset it on the path of growth and sustainability." Right Honorable Speaker, it is with that same conviction that I present the 2026 budget under the theme, Resetting for Growth, Jobs and Economic Transformation. Mr. Speaker, under President Mahama's leadership, this government has chosen a harder but higher road, the road of reform, renewal, and resilience. We have restored fiscal discipline, brought inflation under control, stabilized the cedi, and rekindled investor confidence. This is not just a recovery, it is a reset. It is a story of a nation that refused to stay down. This is a rebirth from the ashes of daunting inheritance, the heavy burden laid upon us by the previous administration. Mr. Speaker, it is indeed a revival forged amid the tempest of hopes, harbored by the ordinary Ghanaian, whose spirit has long been weathered by 8 years of hardship, impoverishment, and shadows of deception. Mr. Speaker, it is the story of Ghanaians who endured hardships with dignity and held on to hope when the road was rough. Right Honorable Speaker, we have learned a powerful truth, and the truth is that fiscal discipline is the backbone of national progress. Mr. Speaker, there is no shortcut to responsible economic mismanagement. Mr. Speaker, there is no shortcut for responsible economic management. Never again must we allow recklessness, waste, and indiscipline to define how we handle the people's money. Right Honorable Speaker, President Mahama has made it clear that under his watch, the integrity of our public finances will remain sacred. Mr. Speaker, confidence is returning. The Black Star is rising once more. Ghana is back, strong, stable, and full of hope. And yes, our Black Stars are heading to the World Cup. Yeah. Right Honorable Speaker, with that renewed energy and optimism, this budget is about building on the foundation we have laid, turning stability into opportunity and opportunity into prosperity. On behalf of His Excellency the President, I extend my deepest gratitude to organized labor, the employers' associations, and workers of Ghana who work with government to successfully agree on the national minimum wage and base pay for 2026, ahead of this budget, reflecting our shared vision of fairness, stability, and productivity. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 budget marks a decisive shift from recovery to transformation, from resilience to productivity, and from stability to jobs. Mr. Speaker, over the next year and beyond, government will focus on three priorities to reset for growth, jobs, and transformation. Speaker, the first will be consolidating the macroeconomic stability. The second will be accelerating economic transformation and job creation. And finally, strengthening security and social sector for inclusive growth. Right Honorable Speaker, our vision is clear. A Ghana that produces more than it consumes. A Ghana that exports value-added goods, not just raw materials. A Ghana where jobs are decent, incomes are rising, and opportunities shared by all. And, Mr. Speaker, a Ghana where every citizen lives with dignity and pride. Mr. Speaker, that is the Ghana we are building. A Ghana powered by discipline, driven by vision, and anchored on shared prosperity. Right Honorable Speaker, having outlined the guiding theme and vision for this budget, I now turn to the state of the Ghanaian economy as at October 2025. Mr. Speaker, and to show where we stand, what we have achieved, and where we are headed. After that, I'll present the policies, priorities, and resource allocation that will drive Ghana's growth, jobs, and economic transformation in 2026 and beyond. Mr. Speaker, at the beginning of the year, we inherited a painful effect of the fiscal slippages of 2024. Pressures that weighed heavily on households and businesses and public finances. Mr. Speaker, confidence was fragile. Inflation remained elevated. The exchange rate was unstable, and the public debt was elevated. Yet, through visionary leadership, fiscal discipline, and policy consistency, the tide has finally turned. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's economy has now recovered, marked by renewed investor confidence and an improved macroeconomic outlook. Mr. Speaker, I'll now give you real sector performance. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's economy has regained its rhythm. Real GDP expanded by 6.3% in the first half of 2025, up from 5.1% in the same period of 2024, driven by stronger agriculture and service, lower inflation, and renewed business confidence. Non-oil GDP grew by 7.8%, showing that our growth is now powered by domestic production. Mr. Speaker, the service sector remains the heartbeat of recovery, surging 8.8% with ICT up 17.2%, finance and insurance up 9.5%, and education up 14.9%. Agriculture, the backbone of stability, also grew by 6%, doubling that of last year. Mr. Speaker, cocoa rebound from a sharp 21.4%, contracting to 2.8% growth. Mr. Speaker, thanks to the targeted farm support and smarter policies. Industry held steady despite reduced oil output. Manufacturing rose 6.3% and construction 4.0%, reflecting reliable energy and revived infrastructure projects. On the demand side, Right Honorable Speaker, household consumption grew by 8.2%, reflecting stronger household confidence. Government spending also slowed to 3.7%, proving fiscal discipline. The Speaker, export grew 11.5%, led by gold, cocoa, and non-traditional export. This is the growth that creates jobs, lifts incomes, and builds lasting stability. The Speaker, I now take you to price development. Right, Honorable Speaker, inflation has fallen faster than anyone imagined, from 23.8% in December 2024 to 8% by October 2025. Ghana is back to a single-digit inflation. This was not by sheer luck. It is the outcome of disciplined fiscal policy, steady monetary management, stable exchange rates, and strong domestic production. Together, these have restored confidence, stabilized the cedi, and eased the pressure on families and businesses. Food inflation reduced from 27.8% to 9.5%. Prices of everyday food such as tomatoes, garden eggs, okra, and fish are finally falling. Mr. Speaker, non-food inflation also dropped from 20.3% to 6.9%, supported by steady fuel prices and lower import costs. Right, Honorable Speaker, this progress proves that sound policies brings real relief. Sound policies brings real reliefs. So, Speaker, both imported and local price pressures are now contained. Right, Honorable Speaker, the task ahead is to sustain this stability by keeping fiscal discipline, boosting food security, and ensuring strong coordination between the fiscal and monetary authorities. The Speaker, I now take you to fiscal performance. The Speaker, 2025 marked one of Ghana's strongest fiscal turnaround in decades. The primary balance on commitment basis swung from a 3% deficit in 2024 to a 1.6% surplus by September 2025, exceeding the target and proving that discipline delivers results. Mr. Speaker, reforms in revenue mobilization and spending controls anchored this recovery. The removal of nuisance e-levy did not weaken revenue. Broader tax reforms and efficient gains lifted non-oil tax revenue to 8.7% of GDP, up from 7.8% in 2024. On expenditure, government tightened non-priority spending whilst protecting key investment in the sectors. Mr. Speaker, Treasury bill rates have fallen, saving 8.8% in interest from January to September. Mr. Speaker, 8.8 billion from January to September. Mr. Speaker, public debt dropped to its lowest in a decade, and Ghana's debt risk has been reclassified from high to moderate. These gains have created space for social and capital investment, eased external debt pressures, and restored investor confidence. Right, Honorable Speaker, Ghana's fiscal consolidation is now credible, sustainable, and homegrown, a model of responsibility that turns stability into progress and ensures every city works for the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, I take you to social protection. Right, Honorable Speaker, even as we pursue fiscal consolidation, government protected and expanded social spending to cushion vulnerable households. Allocations to social protection programs increased to 0.9% of GDP, up from 0.6% in 2024. Mr. Speaker, these targeted interventions reflect our conviction that economic stability must translate into social progress. Mr. Speaker, I will now give you an update on power purchase agreements, renegotiations, and other reforms in the energy sector. Right, Honorable Speaker, when this administration took office, Ghana's energy sector was saddled with about $1.4 billion United States dollars in debt to independent power producers, a ticking fiscal bomb, I call it. Mr. Speaker, today, that burden has been lessened. We have renegotiated all power purchase agreements, led by Ghanaian experts at no cost to the state, saving over $250 million and restructuring 1.1 billion Ghana cedis over a four-year period. Mr. Speaker, government is now fully current on payment, clearing $300 million United States dollars in 2025 year to date and allocating $345 million United States dollars for 2026. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, we are not accruing new arrears in energy sector. Solar tariffs projects like BXC and Mineji have dropped from 18 to 6.5 cents per kilowatt hour, cutting costs and expanding access. Mr. Speaker, this was achieved as part of the renegotiation. Mr. Speaker, the Electricity Company of Ghana revenues has risen almost 90% from 900 million to 1.7 billion Ghana cedis per month, thanks to better enforcement of the cash waterfall mechanism. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, ECG's revenue has improved by almost 90% per month, from 900 Ghana cedis per month to 1.7 billion Ghana cedis per calendar month. Mr. Speaker, I'll now give you an update on the audit of arrears and payables. Mr. Speaker, upon assuming office, government was confronted with outstanding arrears and payables totaling 68.8 billion Ghana cedis, comprising 50.5 billion in unpaid invoices and interim payment certificate (IPCs) and 18.3 billion in outstanding bank transfer advices (BTs). Mr. Speaker, in fulfillment of our pledge to protect the public purse and ensure value for money, we commissioned the Auditor General, working directly with PwC and EY, to conduct an independent validation of these arrears and commitment. Mr. Speaker, as I informed this August House during the media review of the 2025 budget, this special audit covered all verified arrears and commitment as at end December 2024. The objective was to establish the legitimacy of the claims, identify irregularities, and address the fiscal risk arising from the accumulation of these arrears and outstanding commitment. Mr. Speaker, the audit, Mr. Speaker, the exercise has now been completed, and the Auditor General is finalizing his report for submission to Parliament. But, Mr. Speaker, the findings are troubling and very damning. Very damning. Mr. Speaker, out of the 68.8 billion, Mr. Speaker, I'll give headline numbers whilst we wait for the Auditor General to submit the report next week. Mr. Speaker, out of the 68.8 billion payable submitted for audit, 47.8 billion cedis was validated. Mr. Speaker, an additional 8.6 billion Ghana cedis remains under review, pending further validation due to inadequate documentation, missing third-party confirmation, and lack of supporting document. Mr. Speaker, these yet to be validated claims may be legitimate, but further evidence will be required before they can be recognized. But, Right Honorable Speaker, about 10.4 billion Ghana cedis in claims were rejected. The Speaker, due to duplications, recycled IPCs, inflated invoices, falsified stores receipts advice, and instances of no work but demanded money. Fair advice, Speaker, that had already been processed by the Ministry of Finance and were ready for payment by the Controlling Accountant General and Bank of Ghana were rejected. The Speaker, without this audit, these claims would have been paid, underscoring the importance of vigilance and verification. Mr. Speaker, about 2 billion Ghana cedis was also reclassified from claims to BTS. Right Honorable Speaker, the report is ready and it will be submitted, and the detail may be discussed by this House. Mr. Speaker, this audit has not only saved the nation billions in potential losses, but also restored accountability, strengthened expenditure controls, and reaffirmed this government's unwavering commitment to fiscal discipline and transparency. Mr. Speaker, we have identified an abuse in the use of import declaration forms, IDFs. Mr. Speaker, I'll give you the update. Right Honorable Speaker, our investigation into Ghana's import system exposed a staggering abuse of import declaration forms, a tool meant to support legitimate trade but now hijacked for illicit transfers and tax evasion. Mr. Speaker, between April 2020 and August 2025, over 525,000 transactions amounting to an equivalent of $83 billion were processed through ICOPS. Mr. Speaker, surprisingly, this amount of $83 billion were transferred from Ghana in the name of imports. But surprisingly, Mr. Speaker, only 10,440 of these transactions were linked to actual imports. Mr. Speaker, an equivalent of $31 billion in transactions were transferred abroad with no goods imported into the country. Mr. Speaker, this leaks bleeds our reserves, weakens the Ghana cedi, and deprive the economy of resources that should have been used to build schools, roads, and hospitals. Mr. Speaker, the audit also reveals that some importers underdeclared values to hide about 76 billion cedis in imports, denying Ghana about 11 billion Ghana cedis in potential revenue between 2020 to 2025 August. Mr. Speaker, other importers inflated transfer values, aided by some banks that ignored the $200,000 ceiling set by the central bank. Over 17,700 IDF applications broke this limit, channeling an equivalent of about 20 billion United States dollars in unverified transactions out of Ghana. Right Honorable Speaker, this was not a loophole. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, this was not a loophole. It was an organized system for exploitation. In fact, an organized crime. Mr. Speaker, persons and institutions behind these activities are being referred to the Attorney General, Economic and Organized Crime Office, the FIC, and CID for investigation. Mr. Speaker, also, the Ghana Revenue Authority will establish a special recovery unit to reclaim all this lost revenue between this period. Right Honorable Speaker, government has since acted decisively. An interagency committee will now audit all imported related transfers going forward. The Bank of Ghana will also match every forex transfer with verified import data. Mr. Speaker, we are drawing a hard line. Every dollar leaving Ghana must deliver real value for the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's public debt is firmly on downward path. Mr. Speaker, by October 2025, total debt had fallen from 726.7 billion Ghana cedis, or 61.8% of GDP in 2024, to 630.2 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent of 45% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, marking one of the sharpest decline in our history. Mr. Speaker, for the first time in over a decade, we have recorded a negative rate of debt accumulation from a positive 19.1% in 2024 to a negative 13.3% in 2025. Mr. Speaker, this turnaround reflects fiscal discipline, prudent borrowing, and stronger cedi, showing that Ghana's reforms are being measured, Mr. Speaker, and they are showing results. At home, domestic debt market has rebounded. Treasury bill have dropped by 1,600 basis points, with the 91-day Treasury bill at 10.7 from 28.9, the lowest in 14 years. Mr. Speaker, government has paid 20.3 billion Ghana cedis in bond coupons, restoring trust and market liquidity. Mr. Speaker, Eurobond prices are up by 17%, yield down by 300 basis points, and investor confidence is back. Mr. Speaker, Ghana has entered a new era of debt sustainability, anchored on discipline, transparency, and fiscal sovereignty. Mr. Speaker, I'll give an update on sovereign credit ratings. Right Honorable Speaker, all three major international rating agencies have upgraded Ghana's, affirming new faith in our macroeconomic management. In June 2025, Fitch lifted Ghana from restricted default to B-. Again, Moody's in October upgraded Ghana to CAA1. And Mr. Speaker, in November, a couple of weeks ago, S&P also upgraded Ghana to B-/B. The Speaker, together, these upgrades marks a global vote of confidence. Ghana is once again credible, stable, and open for business. Mr. Speaker, I take you to monetary and financial sector performance. Right Honorable Speaker, monetary policy in 2025 stayed tight but effective, thanks to prudent management by the central bank and the governor. The Speaker, the Bank of Ghana cut broad money growth to 16.6% and base money to 4.5%, sterilizing 55 billion Ghana cedis to stabilize the cedi and lock in the lowest inflation in 4 years. Right Honorable Speaker, Ghana's external sector remained strong in 2025. The current account surplus rose to 3.2% of GDP from 2%, driven by robust gold and cocoa export, higher remittance, and strict import management. Mr. Speaker, a $2.1 billion United States dollar trade surplus and growth in non-traditional exports showed a more diversified economy. The Ghana cedi appreciated against the US dollar from 16.35 Ghana cedi to the US dollar in November 2024 to 10 cedi 92 pesos as at 10th November 2025. The Speaker, this represents a rare appreciation of 35%, reflecting sound fiscal and monetary policy management. Right Honorable Speaker, this stability lowered debt costs and eased inflation. Gold and cocoa powered the recovery. Gold earnings rose 68% to 11.2 billion United States dollars. Speaker, cocoa rose 170% to 2.47 billion United States dollars, whilst oil dipped to 1.83 billion. Right Honorable Speaker, Ghana's rising export firms reserves, and a stable cedi confirms one thing, that Ghana's recovery is real, disciplined, and indeed lasting. Mr. Speaker, take you to sectorial performance. Right Honorable Speaker, the story of Ghana's economic recovery in 2025 is best told through the work of our ministries, departments, and agencies. Across every sector, from agriculture and industry to governance, infrastructure and human development, performance in 2025 reflects disciplined execution and innovation. The Speaker, our task now is to sustain this momentum. We will boost productivity in agriculture and industry, accelerate infrastructure delivery, and strengthen governance and skills development. Sector ministers will present their outlook in detail, but the message is clear. Ghana is rebounding with purpose and rising with promise. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 medium-term policy objectives and targets is what I'm now going to present. Right Honorable Speaker, as we enter 2026, our mission is clear: to turn the hard-won stability of 2025 into shared prosperity. Mr. Speaker, the sacrifices made by Ghanaians over the past year have restored hope and confidence in our economy. Inflation is down, the city is stronger, and growth has regained momentum. Mr. Speaker, our fiscal strategy will match discipline with compassion. Our key fiscal policy priorities for 2026 are as follows. First will be to maintain fiscal discipline by sustaining a primary surplus of a 1.5% of GDP on commitment basis. Speaker, the second is to mobilize domestic resource through continuous implementation of our medium-term revenue strategy. Speaker, will promote value for money and rationalize spending, ensuring that every city delivers value for citizens whilst eliminating leakages and inefficiency. And finally, Mr. Speaker, protect priority social spending in education, health and social protection to shield the poor and sustain human capital development. Mr. Speaker, in 2026, our monetary and exchange rate strategy will safeguard stability and drive growth, keep inflation low, the city strong, and confidence high. And that will be our monetary and exchange rate strategy. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana will stay data-driven and cautious, holding inflation within the targeted band of 8 ± 2 and easing only when safe. Speaker, the central bank is doing a good job. Right Honorable Speaker, to advance our medium-term macroeconomic goal of stability, resilience, and shared prosperity, government has set bold but achievable macroeconomic target for 2026 fiscal year and the medium term. Mr. Speaker, over the medium term, from 2026 to 2028, real GDP is set to rise steadily, averaging about 4.9% at the minimum. Non-oil GDP is programmed to grow around 5% at the minimum. So, Speaker, inflation will stay within 8 ± 2% targeted band, reflecting a firm grip on price stability. The Speaker, the fiscal balance will remain strong, with the primary surplus of 1.5% of GDP from 2026 onwards. And Right Honorable Speaker, gross international reserves are expected to provide at least 3 months of import cover over the medium term. Right Honorable Speaker, for the year 2026, we will achieve the following at the minimum. Real GDP growth of at least 4.8%, driven by continued expansion in infrastructure and service sectors, agriculture as well. Non-oil GDP, Mr. Speaker, at least 4.9%. End-year inflation for next year will be at least 8% ± 2. Mr. Speaker, primary surplus of 1.5% of GDP on commitment basis in line with our fiscal responsibility framework to sustain discipline and debt sustainability. Gross international reserves of not less than 3 months of import cover, covering a strong external sector and a strong defense for the Ghana city. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's fiscal strategy over the medium term is to lock in stability and turn it into lasting growth. From 2026, government will sustain a primary surplus of at least 1.5% of GDP on commitment basis each year, anchoring fiscal discipline and debt sustainability. Mr. Speaker, revenue and grant are projected to rise from 16.4% of GDP in 2025 to 16.9% in 2026, reaching 17% by 2029, driven by stronger tax administration. Right Honorable Speaker, our focus is on expanding the tax net, not overburden existing taxpayers. Mr. Speaker, expenditure growth will remain disciplined, rising modestly from 15% of GDP in 2025 to 15.4% in 2026. As a result, the fiscal deficit will narrow sharply from 2.8% of GDP in 2025 to 2% in 2026 and 2.1% by 2029. Mr. Speaker, in 2026, government will target a primary surplus of 1.5% of GDP, consistent with our fiscal anchor. The overall fiscal deficit on commitment basis is projected at 2.2% of GDP. On cash basis, the overall fiscal deficit is projected at 4% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, this fiscal stance balances consolidation with growth, maintaining discipline while safeguarding resources for productive investment under the Big Push infrastructure program and other national priorities. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to revenue mobilization for 2026. Right Honorable Speaker, in 2026, government expects to collect total revenue and grant of 268.1 billion Ghana cedis, up from 226.7 billion in 2025, a strong 18.3% increase. Non-oil tax revenue, the backbone of domestic mobilization, is projected at 216.1 billion Ghana cedis, growing on the back of improved compliance and enforcement. Oil and gas receipts are expected to contribute 13.6 billion Ghana cedis, supported by steady global prices. The Speaker, non-tax revenue is projected at 20.9 billion, with 18.2 billion retained by ministries, departments, and agencies to sustain essential service. The Speaker, additional inflows from Senate transfers and energy sector levies are estimated at 14.4 billion Ghana cedis, whilst development partners grant were
Ghana this year mamunyina adwuma makwaba UTV yesu ni ebraso sense me ko twi ba brema ne sem for waje bre waso ne so na nwumire ye de besom wo sekase bo ense me betwa ne ho channel 360 so na eye DSTV Facebook YouTube Despite Media obenya bi ahwe ewo so na nsem nwumire ye de ba besom ne doso ni be di akotene bi enie Photo samfo e wo mrase bedwafie o my Ghana akohoma sika wo de na die aban sika wo bedi 2026
na emrase bedwafo nso apene so ama Justice Paul Bafoboni omo agenatum say yetemuafo panyi
Ghana fo bi okoko pie mu ewo Airwax Sports Stadium no kohwa hu ni say asere adwuma no benya biaye na nipa bi enam saye oso ato na nanom ewo nsiedu no emrase bedwafie edi ho nkomo
enam sare hosemi so ama emrase bedwafie chairman Right Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin edisika 100,000 Ghana cedis ena akopie mu ewo 37 abanya asabia say adehye o meprepra eda babia enye nyina no yemfa enhwe omoyade
TVET ensanu dwuma tete no abanya ye ne so disika behim aboa ama Ghana fo nyina no atumi enya so mfaso bi
Amrado awada Bank of Ghana ano ediato sikakrabia nkaye nyina edimu say wo mo hwenhye mapa eda adwuma ne ho ebata ho no fanya adwuma se de be ya gidi a Ghana fo ni wo mo no gidi no ebesan ababi
afei kase bu mu aseda
Yede kwama this way chocolate drink yesterday we here any in so share your special ice ne mineral water and then the drinks assault no best point savings and loans best assurance you you to nchine need fufu nita benko mu nyina ni nyumeku nkai bi adaroma and enwumre omaso yasne ama yemu ayedua yede ensem no eba akenkan for eyemne abna bayi nyano mene
Sadat Mohammed afei ensem no nchire mu enie Yene mu kasa yokopie mu ewo my Ghana mrase bedwafie a photo samfo me Minister of Finance ayade a ugina na so na my Ghana akohoma sika na etwato afi mu no working kan ama Ghana fo nyina no atimahunu bie ehese aban no odi egu apono so kon obefa so no wabobo sika no enampo sika aban ni bedi afie we anim no ni nyina no wode na di ade akire Ghana fo empinfo ese agina so no wode atudwa se kwahodo mu kan bie wom ayade a Finance Ministry ene omo adi nkomo asinkonwa kwan a omo befa so no omo so beboa ministry no oman no ne yesika sem atumi afa ne ntoma pa ediefira empinfo chim se free se NDC aban betina Ghana bedwa so ejese epom egu apono so aboa ama ne Ghana ka ne yede no free 2022 na ejina 93.3% so ate 2025 no aba begina 44.9% afen so ukodwa so a enama bo ate aba from 2022 na ejina 54.1% ene ukukopie mu dwa so ejina 8% na chese aban no abo no homode papa ene Ghana sika sem so tumpon ejina 6.3% into we ene nsem nkaye ene wo hwe ni mu se Dr. Kesel atoba force na wakopie mu e wo mrase bedwafie no enhyehyɛ ya omudi egu apono so ama afe 2026 no obede na die na Ghana fo nyina no atumi ehunu bie
in bilateral loans. The Speaker, Ghana is firmly on a sustained path. The Speaker, the strategy focuses on cutting refinancing risk, reducing costs, deepening local markets, and boosting transparency. It revives the bond market, building liquidity buffers, and relies mainly on concessional financing from the IMF, World Bank, and bilateral partners. The Speaker, benchmarks including short-term debt below 15%, treasury bills, and 20% of domestic debt and foreign debt capped at 70%. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to the meat. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to the meat. The fiscal policy measures, structural reforms, and key policy initiatives. Right Honorable Speaker, the choices we made in 2025 have restored macroeconomic stability, built trust in our fiscal institutions, and rekindled the hope of our country. The task before us now is to turn that stability into sustained progress and to make growth felt in every home, every community, and every enterprise. The Speaker, the 2026 budget represents the next phase of our national renewal, a practical, forward-looking plan to consolidate the gains, accelerate transformation, and secure prosperity for all Ghanaians. It is the next chapter in building the Ghana we want, a nation that works around the clock, creates opportunities for all, and protect the dignity and dreams of every citizen. Right Honorable Speaker, permit me to reaffirm government 3 key priorities for 2026. First, consolidation of macroeconomic stability. Second, we will accelerate economic transformation and job creation. And finally, we will strengthen the security and social sectors for inclusive growth. Mr. Speaker, this budget builds on the stability of 2025 and channels it into action that delivers more jobs, better infrastructure, stronger industries, and better public service. Mr. Speaker, the budget moves Ghana from recovery to transformation and from promises to progress. Right Honorable Speaker, let me now outline the core policy measures, structural reforms, and key policy initiatives that will drive this transformation, each one designed to deliver tangible results, reduce the cost of living, and power businesses to jobs. Fiscal policy reforms.
Yeguswa ewo emrashe bedwafi na enne okopiemu wo emrashe bedwafi a eye Justice Paul Bafo Boni a yebo ni din se